This is Unit 3, Formative 1, Video 1, Absolute Value Equations. Okay, so when we think about an absolute value equation, we're thinking about these symbols here with the lines and something inside. So, for example, absolute value of x equals 2. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, an absolute value is a distance from 0. Okay, so we're saying that this number 2 is the distance from 0. There are two numbers that have a distance of 2 from 0, okay? So how do we find that when we solve an equation, okay? So x represents those numbers. There are two numbers that have a distance of 2, okay? So if I take x equals 2, that'll give me one of them. And if I make x negative, okay, remember there's two numbers that have a distance of 2. Okay, if I make x negative, I can find that number, okay? The other number, when I divide by -1 here, is -2, okay? So again, two numbers that have a distance of 2 are 2 and -2. Our first equation here, the absolute value of 2x plus 4 equals 8, okay? So again, first thing before I start is I need you to identify if the absolute value part, okay, so this is the absolute value part, if there's anything on the outside of it, okay? There's no number here, right? There's no plus sign outside of it, okay? It's just the absolute value of 2x plus 4, okay? So we're just working with that. What is the distance from 0 here, okay? The distance from 0 is 8, okay? So we're going to make two equations showing 8 as our distance, okay? So I'm going to take the 2x plus 4 again, because again, that's the absolute value. So it has a distance of 8, okay? Well, another equation also having the distance of 8, because remember we're talking about absolute value, is I have to make this negative, okay? Okay. So again, that has a distance of 8. Reminder, we're thinking of x equals 8, negative x equals 8. That's what we're thinking of, okay? All right, so let's solve each equation. All right, so we have to subtract 4 here. 8 minus 4 is 4. And then we have to divide by 2. X equals 2. Solve the other equation. Guys, you don't have to distribute the negative if you don't want to. We can get rid of the negative right away. In fact, if I just divide by -1 here, I'm going to change the equation to 2x plus 4 equals -8, okay? Again, I just divided by -1, okay? So, same thing, subtract 4. Now, -8 minus 4 is -12. And then we divide by 2. So we have two answers, 2 and -6, okay? So if I make a number line here, because we do have to graph it as it says, I'm just going to put dots, okay? Okay, so -6, let's say it's here, -4, -2, 0, 2, okay. We want to put dots on or above the number line, okay? They are equations, so you have dots, okay? Our next problem is 4 times the absolute value of z minus 6 equals 12. In this problem, we see that we have a 4 and a -6 on the outside of my two absolute values, or my absolute value symbols, okay? So I have to get the absolute value of z by itself, okay? So we're going to do some work so that we get this by itself, okay? So when we do this, undo addition and subtraction first like we normally would do, okay? So we're going to add 6. Okay, so 12 plus 6 is 18. Okay, the 6's are gone there. We have 4 times the absolute value of z. Oops. Okay, and then we have to divide by 4 here, okay? Again, we have not taken the absolute value symbols off yet, okay? So 18 over 4, 18 divided by 4 reduces to 9/2, okay? Or you could say 4.5, okay? Now, reminder, we're talking about absolute value. So the absolute value has a distance of 4.5, okay? There are two numbers that have a distance of 4.5. And again, reminder, that means I have to do a positive z, okay, and a negative z, okay? Because again, there is a positive and a negative number that have a distance of 4.5. Okay, one of them's this. The other one, if I just divide by -1, is -4.5. Okay. It does say to graph again, so we're just going to make a quick sketch here. So if I put 0 here, 4.5 here, and -4.5 there, I'm going to put 2 dots. Again, they're equal signs, so they're dots. Third example here, we have 2 times the absolute value of 3x plus 1 equals 10. Again, isolate the absolute value. We're going to go ahead and divide by 2 to start, okay, because the 2's cancel that way. Big mistake here a lot of students do is they just write 3x plus 1 and then solve from there. But we have not written our 2 equations yet. Okay, so put the absolute value around it still. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, so again, we have 2 numbers that have a distance of 5. Okay, first one we're just going to keep the same. 3x plus 1 equals 5. Second one, reminder, is negative. So I'm going to make it a negative 3x plus 1, like so, equals 5 as well. We solve them both. Let's subtract 1 from both sides here. So that's 4. And then divide by 3. X equals 4 over 3. And then here, take care of the negative, move the negative first, okay? We have 3x plus 1 equals -5. Then I could subtract 1. That's -6. Divide by 3. X equals -2. Hey guys, reminder, if you doubt your work, you can plug in the answers into the problem and see if you get a true statement. If you get a true statement, that means you did it right. Let's go ahead and graph. Let's make an accurate sketch here. We have 0, -2's over here to the left. 4 4/3, 4/3 is 1 1/3, so it's going to be a little bit closer to 0. Regardless, they're just dots, okay? All right, so there's our graph there. Write an absolute value equation that has 6 and -4 as its solutions, okay? Graph on a number line. Yeah, so I would start off by making a graph first here. Okay, here we go. Let's make a nice accurate line, okay? All right, so let's say 6 is over here. 4, 2, 0, -2, -4. Okay. I'm going to put the dots on our line here. Okay. Since we're talking about absolute value, I need to figure out distance from 0. But in order to do that, we need to find the middle. Okay. Easiest way is to count inward. Okay. So I'm just going to count inward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So I counted 5 inward, okay, to this number, okay? So that's our midpoint, okay? The midpoint of 1, okay? Let me just jot that down. All right, so we're going to use this one. So the 2 dots, the -4 and 6, they are 5 away, because I did count, I counted 5, right? That's a distance of 5, distance of 5. They are 5 away from 1. But I want this to be distance from 0, okay? So I have to change this. I have to move my midpoint to 0, okay? If I'm moving 1 to 0, I'm subtracting 1, okay? All right, so I'm subtracting 1. All right, so in creating the equation, okay, again, I have my absolute value part. The distance, reminder, the distance is here. So what did we say the distance was? We said it was 5. It's in green here. It's 5. Okay. We have 2 answers that we're going to have. Okay. X is 6. X is also -4. Okay. So in this case, we're going to want to subtract 1 from the x, okay? We're subtracting 1 from the x to get the distance of 5. Okay, just a reminder, if you want to think of it this way, we're taking the opposite of the midpoint, okay? Taking the opposite of midpoint. So let's go and do this. Minus midpoint. Okay, so x minus midpoint equals the distance. X minus 1 equals 5. Okay. All right, guys. This was kind of a tougher video, so make sure you have questions and ask them, please. Have a good day.